Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly.
Welcome back to the DCL podcast, your podcast to help you cruise a little bit smarter. My name is Chris, and I am down here in beautiful sunny California, and we are joined tonight with Steve. Hey, Steve, I can tell you're in your little Portland-based podcast studio. I see the beautiful artwork behind you. How are you doing?
Not too bad. You haven't commented on my shirt yet, which nobody can see.
What is that? Is that Haunted Mansion?
It is. It's the wallpaper of the Haunted Mansion. I got this shirt to wear on the Dream before COVID when we went on our Halloween cruise, and it didn't show up in time. And I can't wait to wear it next week on the Wonder. So,
I mean, you and I have always I'm really the one who's always wanted them to just make a Haunted Mansion dark ride on all of Deck 5. But at least a Haunted Mansion bar, right? Come on, adventure. Maybe we'll get that on the Treasure.
It's gotta be, right? I mean, what else are they gonna do?
Yeah. Well, Steve and I are so excited because this is a Best Coast episode of the podcast. All three of us are in the same time zone. I am here in Burbank. Steve is up in Portland, but we are joined today by friend of the podcast, Liz. Liz, welcome.
Hello from Anaheim. Thanks so much for having me.
You're so close to the original orange groves that started it all.
Yes, hear the fireworks every night, 9:30.
Right. Does that annoy you, or is it honestly just like a point of pride?
No, we've tuned it out by this point. It's like living by railroad tracks. You just don't hear it after a while. We just got used to it.
Right. Well, we are super excited to have you on. I feel like not only have you sort of done some pretty cool trips and things this year, but your most recent endeavor involves none other than Disney Cruise Line's newest ship, the Wish.
Yes, it was so exciting.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was hard to wait because it was a September cruise and everyone was, July, listening to y'all have your amazing trip together and hear everything. I'm like, I can't wait, but we made it. We got on it.
Well, listen, you played a very important part in our trip because you designed the t-shirts that we all wore on the staircase when we took our big giant group photo. And we also wore them multiple days of the cruise.
Y'all wore them well. I can't take credit for how well you guys wore them.
But you can take credit for how pretty they were. I love those shirts. We still wear them. But yeah, so you went on the Wish, and now I know your kids are probably in school, right? Because you went in September. So did you do a weekend cruise, or how did you select your dates?
We tend to always cruise in September just because it works well with our budget, and we don't mind pulling the kids out since it's a little bit earlier in the year. We're really lucky that our school has a thing where if they're gone for more than 5 days, we can they call it an independent study contract. So it doesn't go against their attendance. They get a little packet of worksheets, but that doesn't count as them having missed school. So we totally take advantage of that and travel when it's most affordable.
For context, how old are your kids, Liz?
It was me and my husband sailing, and then my daughter Lily is 11 and my son Evan is 9.
So you guys haven't quite reached that high school age and middle school age yet, where it makes it a little bit tougher. I know that, matter of fact, we are actually staying for our next cruise the whole day. Andrew and I are going to fly down our high schooler that night rather than in the morning because he wants to be able to be in school to make sure he gets all his classwork done.
No, we're lucky. They're still in the elementary age, but I think once we hit middle school, that's probably going to have to adjust a little bit.
And Chris had to run out for just a second, so we'll just keep going with this. So you guys sailed on the Wish. You're talking about kind of having a little bit of FOMO, watching other people sail early. What were you excited about sailing with the Wish?
I had tried really hard to not, spoil myself. I know so many people are posting such great videos and, this is what this looks like and this is it. And I'm like, I don't want to see it. So I was trying not to spoil. So I was just really excited to see the new ship with my own eyes. And a lot of it, obviously, you do kind of recognize because I follow you all, and I follow so many Instagram pages. And so some of it, I kind of knew what to expect. But just being able to step into the atrium and see it for myself, I was really excited for. Or I'm sorry, the Grand Hall, not the atrium.
It's hard not to call it the atrium, isn't it?
It is.
Well, before we get to onboard the ship, just like us on the West Coast, the rest of us on the Best Coast, we gotta make our way over there. Where'd you guys stay beforehand? Did you guys stay in Port Canaveral? Did you stay at Walt Disney World?
Well, we flew over to the East Coast and we stayed at Port Orleans
We're gonna
French
get so
Quarter.
much shade.
People
We're
are
gonna
going to
get
be
so much shade for this.
mad at us, but we joke, we just have fun.
Yes, I love
Listen.
it. Love it. We stayed at Port Orleans French Quarter for a few days. We flew in on a Thursday and we did 3 Walt Disney World days.
Which parks? Did you do park hoppers or did you just pick 3 different parks?
We did park hoppers. So the first day we did Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. The second night we did Epcot. The third night we were supposed to do Walt Disney World, but we had to cancel that for exhaustion reasons. So we stayed in. My kids are, with the time change and with theme parks being so go, they just needed a rest day. So
I mean, that makes all the sense in the world. I feel like you gotta pace yourself. The one thing about a Walt Disney World vacation is it's not very relaxing.
exactly. And my kids are not like Steve's kids who will walk 2 miles to get to port. My kids are a little bit less active than that. So they were totally not used to, just 10 miles of walking a day. They said, no, let's hang out at the hotel. So it was fun though. They swam. I got to meet Christy that day. That was amazing. Finally got to meet her in real life. It was all good.
That's a fun resort too. I mean, they get a cool pool. I mean, a great. What am I looking for? A quick server, or like the food there is kind of amazing with the beignets and everything else. And that's like one of my favorite resorts on property there at Walt Disney World.
We had never stayed on property before, so we loved it. We loved the hotel. It was a cool vibe.
Well, let's get you out to the port. How did you guys manage to get out to the port? Did you use Walt Disney World transportation, or did you guys book something separately?
No, we got a rental car when we landed at the airport, and I was trying to kind of math that out before we left. And we ended up getting the rental car for the entire duration of our vacation, because between one-way rental car and shuttle and getting another rental car to bring us back afterwards, it was less than $100 difference. So we just ended up getting the rental car for the whole time and parking it at the port, so that way when we got off the ship we were right there and we could take off.
Yeah, the convenience of that is perfect. And
yeah,
it kind of is stressful to have to deal with rental car shuttles and stuff when you land or when you get into Port Canaveral.
And I didn't want to deal with that. I didn't want to have to be waiting on a shuttle. I didn't want to have to be sharing a van with a bunch of people or anything. So it worked out really well for us. I'm glad we did it that way.
So this is a Halloween on the High Seas cruise. So I'm excited to hear about that too, on top of just your first experience on the Wish. But what were some of the things, this is not your first time sailing a Disney Cruise Line, what were some of the things that you guys planned ahead of time? And did you have plans to get off in Nassau, or did you just want to spend time on the ship?
We definitely just wanted to spend time on the ship. This is our 7th cruise. So we've already done Nassau a couple of times, and no shade against Nassau, it's fine, but we've already done it. We've never done the Wish, so we wanted to maximize our time. My daughter was really excited to do Edge. My son, he was looking forward to the kids club. As far as things we were looking forward to, I was kind of looking forward to trying, all the food options, just exploring the new spaces.
Right. I mean, this ship lends itself to like surprise and delight. I feel like it has so many unique spaces, and it's honestly not the easiest to navigate. So sometimes you just like wander upon a thing that you weren't expecting. Like I sort of feel that way when you come out of the Grand Hall and you see the bayou for the first time. You're like, excuse me, what is this place with magnolia flowers on the ceiling? And it's just like very surprise forward in that sense. How did you find it?
Exactly. There was at least twice that I can think of where we were looking for a venue. We would ask the cast member, hey, where's Hyperspace Lounge? And it was literally like 3 paces forward. Had we just kept walking, it would have been right there. But, there's so many little spaces tucked away that I didn't notice it. I definitely like the fact that there's so many new little areas. We stayed on deck 2, and there is a, little coffee shop right there on, I don't know if it's deck 3 or deck 4, but just being able to just run upstairs and grab some coffee, or just, there's so much to see everywhere on that ship.
Speaking of staying on deck 2, what kind of room did you have?
We had an ocean view. We had never stayed on deck 2 before, but I wanted to stay on deck 2 because that's where the kids club is now. And with my kids being 9 and 11, I wanted to give them a little bit more independence. So that way, if my son wanted to check himself in and out of the kids club, obviously with restrictions, he's not going to be running all over the ship. But, hey, if you want to go to the kids club, it's right there. Or if you get tired at the kids club and you want to go back to the room, it's right there. And it actually worked out really well for us.
I do feel like I haven't stayed on deck 2, but I do feel like there's a lot of benefits to being, close to the atrium and close to, I know the kids clubs have moved down there. And honestly, you're sort of closer to the water. You could look out your ocean view and see the ocean water right below you. And disembarkation, or rather like getting off the ship in port, especially at Castaway, would be really quick because, you're right there.
Yeah, and the elevators were usually empty because, they're empty at deck 2 and then they fill up as they get higher. So I don't know, I liked it.
So you had an ocean view, and I'm correct in remembering there were 4 of you, right? You, your husband, and your 2 kids. So that means that you were probably taking advantage of the little pull down bunk and the couch bed. How did you find the room suited the 4 of you?
It was fine for us. I did miss having a little bit of drawers, but we used packing cubes. So we just threw the packing cubes on the little shelves and it was fine. It was really comfortable. The space between the bed and the TV was not the best. It was kind of, one person has to move out of the way so the other person can get through. But I mean, I don't have any major complaints or anything about the room. I thought it was a beautiful room. We had the Frozen motif. It was pretty. The room was fine.
I love the Frozen rooms. And it was a split bathroom?
Split bathroom, yeah. Split bathroom, bunk beds.
I think that any ocean view or veranda will be a split bathroom. The only thing that doesn't have a split bath is like some of the inside cabins.
Yeah, and we had the big porthole window that you can sit in, and my son loved that. Anytime we were in the room, he loved sitting in that window.
Oh my gosh, that does sound amazing. You're selling me on deck 2.
I like deck 2. I never picked deck 2 because I feel like it's so down low. It's like being in the basement or something. But no, I'm a convert for deck 2 now.
It's probably nice, kind of your own space down there. There's not as many people wandering around, all these like random people wandering down the hallways up in deck 7 and 8, right, Chris?
Yeah, people are only going down to deck 2 if they're staying down there, or if the kids, and honestly, the kids are using that slide.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Well, let's back it up just a little bit. What was it like getting on the Wish and walking into the Grand Hall, and being that this is a Halloween on the High Seas cruise? How was it decorated?
They had the tree, the beautiful pumpkin tree named Boo. The tree has a name. The tree's name is Boo.
Is that only on this ship? I don't remember my tree having a name.
This is only on this ship. There's a backstory for the tree, which I can tell you if you like. Because they did the whole pumpkin ceremony. That was one of the Halloween events. I don't know if you want me to talk about that now or if I'm jumping ahead.
We could jump into that, but let's just, how was it decorated and what was it like? Did the Grand Hall kind of meet your expectations? Was it as exciting as you thought it was to get on? I mean, it's so much different than the other ships.
Yeah, no, it's gorgeous and it's sparkly. It's just so pretty. You have the statue there and it's like the magical moment they announce your name and you step out and you're, ooh, ah, and look, and oh, there's Cinderella in the balcony and look at this. And then they do the wand, the wish. And it was just so pretty. And then, the princesses come out. It totally met my expectations. I loved it. My kids both, oh, it's so pretty here. It's so big. It looks so different than the other ships. They were wowed by it.
I love that. We could jump into the Halloween stuff because I'm curious about it. How did they do the Halloween stuff? Was it, we're coming to be on a day 3 or a 3-day cruise here soon. And like pretty much everything happened that first day. So if you weren't like on it to go see it that evening, how did they do the Halloween stuff on the Wish on a 4-day cruise?
So Halloween was day 2. So Nassau Day was Halloween. So they did have the tree. They had the decorations in the portholes like they had on the other ships, but there were different decorations. They were kind of like villains, but kind of made out of vines, kind of like that pattern that's on the tree, the kind of twisty vine pattern that's on the tree. So they did all the villains, but in that. Other than that, it was pretty subdued in terms of Halloween decorations. It's, the classy, subtle, not knock you over the head kind of way. for Halloween, they had the deck party, they had Halloween parties in the kids' clubs. They had the show, I believe it was on night one before, the day before Halloween, where they lit up the pumpkin tree. And the story behind the pumpkin tree is that Boo had a very special pumpkin and she wanted to save it for a special purpose. So when Cinderella needed her coach, that's when Boo gave her special pumpkin to Cinderella to have a coach to ride. And it's very twee and it's very, cutesy, but it's cute. So that was the origin story of Boo the pumpkin tree.
And if you go back to the original Cinderella animation, you'll see that Boo is just sitting there in the background passing out pumpkins.
It's a very special pumpkin for a special purpose. It was cute. And, the pumpkins light up, and I don't know if it's spoilery, but they have like the little Cinderella motifs. So one of them, I think, is a clock, and one is a coach, and one of them is a mouse. And it's cute.
What's real interesting about this is if they decide to make it lobby specific, for the future ships, because it's like, is this tree going to be Halloween on the High Seas on the Treasure? And like, if so, is it giving pumpkins to like Aladdin and Jasmine for their special flight over Agrabah? Because Aladdin and Jasmine's like pretty much the only thing we know about the treasure at this point, is that the lobby statue is Aladdin. It'll be interesting to see what they do.
Maybe they'll get their own special tree. I don't know. I can't think of any pumpkins in Aladdin.
Right. So maybe they're just going to keep up with Boo on the new ships, which is cool.
So they told the story that first night, and then was there anything else in the lobby there for Halloween, or that was pretty much it? The tree was there. You gave pictures probably.
They did the game. I don't know if they had this on your cruise. It's a really quick game called Who's Behind the Curtain, which is like 20 questions, and you had to guess who was behind the curtain. And it was like a different Halloween themed character. So they did that on the first night. On the actual Halloween day, they didn't have trick-or-treating. My kids did come out of the kids club with bags of candy, and I said, "Where'd you get that?" And they said, "Oh, they just handed it to us in Edge, because they had done an open house with Edge together." So I think that's what's replacing the trick-or-treating. If there was a trick-or-treating station, I didn't see it, and it was not advertised. And that's all I can remember. I do not remember if they had a costume contest, because I think usually they have a costume contest for the adult.
I thought they were supposed to have because Chris, you and I did that show on Halloween. They were talking about possibly having like an adults kind of villains takeover. Did you see anything like that?
I did not see anything like that.
False advertising from our last podcast.
Oh my God.
In all fairness, it might have been there, and maybe I just didn't see it.
Well, that's possible. They oftentimes offer so much that you can't do it all, in terms of like, did they do a Nightmare Before Christmas 4D showing at some point?
I don't think they did.
Which on some of the older ships they do that. So it's like, I think they're trying to maybe make different changes for the ships across the fleet, which honestly I'm for. I don't want to see everything be the same across the fleet. So maybe these are just like special Halloween moments for the Wish. Did they do any fun Halloween towels in your room?
They did. They had.
What was it?
Sorry, spoiler, skip ahead 5 seconds if you don't want to know what it is. It was a pumpkin. It was really cute, little brown pumpkin with a little stem. I think they used that black makeup towel, and they put it in the middle for the stem. It was cute.
I love that. It sounds like that was, and so it wasn't throughout the entire cruise.
No, Halloween was only on that one day where they had the Halloween specific activities. The one thing that they did have across the days was they had the characters as the Sanderson sisters, the Minnie, Clarabelle, and Daisy. So they had multiple photo opportunities with them every day, but the lines were so long. I wanted to try to do it, but the lines were so long. Yeah,
the lines at Oogie Boogie Bash for those characters were also so long. They're long. Like sleeper hits, They're
really cute.
They are. They're very cute. Also, I want to say it might have even been a video you posted, but I saw that when the Sanderson sisters come out for their meet and greet, they do a little synchronized dance which I think is pretty cute.
They did. That was for when they were the answer to the Who's Behind the Curtain game. They come out and they play the I Put a Spell on You song and they dance. It was really cute. It was really, really cute.
Oh my gosh. I love that. That makes me happy.
You'd have been losing it, wouldn't you, Chris, if you'd been in the, the lobby and they came out singing We Put a Spell on You.
I literally would be like, Bette Midler, are you here?
I wish.
All right, well, let's move beyond Halloween. Let's talk about the food options that they have on board, Liz. 3 different restaurants. You got Marvel, you get a night in Arendelle, and then 1923. What was your thoughts about the different food venues or the restaurants on board this time? And did you have a favorite?
I have to put in the asterisk that my food opinion only applies to about 5% of people because I have multiple food allergies. I'm allergic to wheat, dairy, eggs, nuts, and shellfish. My dining experience is very different from other people's. However, it was still very, 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 very good. Favorite. I really liked Arendelle. I know 1923 is kind of the crowd hit. It's the very popular favorite, but I had really good entrees at Arendelle and at Marvel. Actually, they were all really good. So they have the new allergy menu. I know Christy says, if you have an allergy, don't be afraid to order off the regular menu, which is fine if you may have maybe 1 or 2 allergies. But me, I have multiple allergies. I'm a hard person to feed. That's just my life. So the fact that they had that allergy menu that had so many options for people that had multiple allergies made me so happy. It's like the world is my oyster. I was thrilled. So I'm really pleased with how they did that. My daughter has an allergy also. She's allergic to egg. That's her only allergy, but it's a very severe allergy. So we have to be careful with her. And just the fact that, we had a menu of, here's 4 different entrees and 5 different appetizers. And, it makes your day when you have that many allergies. So we were really, really pleased with that. I mean, we enjoyed all the food. I can't think of anywhere where we had a bad meal. Like, it was all good.
What about entertainment? What was your favorite entertainment restaurant?
My kids would probably say Marvel. That show was really cute.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the Arendelle show. Those performers were so talented.
Same. Listen, the rendition of Show Yourself that they sing, literally, I was with all my friends and still wasn't afraid to look like a weepy mess because it was so good and emotional. The cast, at least for the opening of that dinner experience, was so good, so talented.
And I'm not even a person that loves Frozen because, my daughter went through that whole Frozen stage where we had to watch it a million times. So I'm like, I can give or take Frozen. It's fine. But they are so talented. And the violinist was amazing. It's a really, really good show.
I was just reading that Fantasmic is coming back to Hollywood Studios for the first time since the pandemic started. And they got rid of the Pocahontas scene, I think because it has some of the more problematic Disney songs featured prominently, but they replaced it with a heroes sequence. And I felt like I was done with Disney World for a good while since my recent trips, but I was like, I really want to see this because the heroes sequence apparently has an Elsa Show Yourself sequence, and I love Elsa. So
there's just something about that song.
It's so good.
Emotionally stirring. No, the restaurants are amazing. And I should say, for the non-allergic people, my husband loved his food, and my son got the same mac and cheese and French fries every single day and ate it. He loved it. So everyone was real happy with the food options. And not even just the main dining room, the deck food is so good.
Yeah, you would be joining a very common chorus of people who love Mickey's Food Fair, Friendship Food Fair, Festival of Foods. But yeah, a lot of people are like, please bring that to the other ships. If you bring anything to the other ships, bring us the Festival of Foods.
I was going to say Donald's Chipotle. Donald's Cantina is really good.
Yeah, no, Donald Chipotle. And then the pizza is so much better than the other ships. I know you probably, well, they do have like a gluten-free disc, but the dairy and all of
Yeah,
that is
it has
probably,
egg and stuff.
yeah.
But my kids love the pizza. They got it a couple of times. My husband got the barbecue a couple of times. I liked the barbecue too. So
Yeah, the barbecue is also great. It's just
yeah,
tens across the board.
tens across the board. I'm like I said, I'm a hard person to feed, and they kept me happy. So I'm good.
So let's stay on the pool deck since we're up there. What did you guys think of the Aquamouse? Did you make it to the Dino District, the much celebrated Dino District aboard the Wish? And what did you guys think about the pool decks just in general?
We did like the pool decks. So what we do is we usually get second dining. And then if we don't want to see the show, we usually just stay on the pool deck because by that time everyone either goes to the show or they go to dinner and nobody's on the pool deck. So there was one day that my daughter and I rode the Aquamouse 4 times in a row with no wait because everyone else was either at a show or at dinner, and she had the time of her life. My son likes the Aquamouse, but he went on it once and he says, okay, that's cool with me. But then during that time, no one's in the pool. So he basically had the whole pool to himself. He was happy watching Soul. I was the only one that got on the Slidosaurus Rex because my other kids didn't want to go on it.
Your priorities are correct.
Yes, and there was no wait. And I got my on, my little rave time. And then I went down the slide. It was very cute. We didn't get to go to the Trixie area. I think when we passed by it, it was closed. I didn't know what the hours were.
I mean, you did miss Trixie Falls, which is a faux pas, but we'll forgive you because you prioritized going on Slidosaurus Rex.
It was a very cute slide. We enjoyed it. My kids missed out. I'm sorry, children, but your mother wasn't going to pass it up.
I mean, it'll be hot off the press news when they expand the Dino District to take up all of the pool deck on the Treasure.
It's dinosaur themed pools all around.
No more Aquamouse. Instead, they're going to be taking animatronics from the dinosaur ride at Animal Kingdom and bringing them onto the ship. It's going to be great.
It's just going to be, them sliding past that the Disneyland Railroad dinosaur sequence.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we're gonna get the Walt purists and have have that. It's gonna be just a full dinosaur themed ship called the Disney Treasure.
Where's the petition? I'm there.
Good times on the pool deck. I'm glad you guys enjoyed. I like the Aquamouse too. I mean, it's not quite as long, I think, as the. Why can't I say it? I'm like totally losing my brain here.
The watery portion is not as long as the Aqueduct, but the on-ride experience is probably longer because the lift hill takes forever.
And I think the water experience actually is funner on the Aquamouse than the Aqueduct, to be completely honest. So
yeah, more fun.
I've actually never been on the Aqueduct. This one was my first little tube slidey thing on a Disney cruise. I think when we went on the Dream, my kids were too little and I wasn't going to go on it without them. So but I loved it. And, getting to go on it 4 times with no wait, it was really fun.
So there's a couple other things you guys got to experience that nobody else is, or we haven't talked to anybody yet about this. I guess they got it up and going finally. You got to do Uncharted Adventure this time. I know reading about it ahead of time, allegedly you were supposed to be able to log onto the app and the experience would start before you even got on the ship. Could you talk about your experience with Uncharted Adventure? It's kind of the thing that's replacing the midship detective agency on board the Dream of the Fantasy.
If there was a pre-cruise portion to it, I didn't see it. So it was funny because I got to the cruise port and our cruise was the first cruise where you didn't have to reserve Hyper Lounge, but I didn't know that yet. So as soon as I got to the port, I went in because I'm like, I need to reserve Hyper Lounge. And then I saw the little thing that said, come join us in our game of Uncharted Adventure. And I took a screenshot. I'm like, oh, that's cool. We get to do the new thing. We're the first ones. And then a half an hour later, I opened up the app again and it's like, special preview, please be patient with us. So they amended their wording to, I guess,
manage expectations.
Yeah, exactly. Just say this is our sneak preview. You get a special sneak preview. So it made it sound much less like everything is ready and 100%. But I was really happy that we got to play it for the first time. It was a really cute game. So you play it on your cell phone. Unlike Midship, where you had to have the tablets, this one you get on your cell phone. You need to have the app installed, obviously. Anyone can play it. So we were a family of 4, so my husband had it on his phone and my kids had it on their phones, and you can link everyone together to join a party, so you can all play the quests together. When you link your party together, you do need to have one person that's the leader that kind of drives the game, but you can switch who's leader. So there was some times where my husband and my son played it without me. And then in those cases, my husband just took over being leader in those roles. So it's not a big deal if, not all 4 of you are there or whatever. It's really cute. The story is that you're using your magical spyglass, AKA your phone, to collect fragments of stars that are hidden all around the ship. So, you get to watch these little videos and it tells you where to go, and you use your phone to scan a little portion of a picture or a screen. It's usually on a screen. And then based on that, then you do an activity where you either use your phone as a controller or you use your phone to, to change things in real life props. So that was really cool, like that big Inside Out sweets thing that's in the sweet shop. Like one of our quests, we had to go there and rearrange colors. So it was the prop was changing colors in real life in front of us. It was really, really cute. It was definitely a sneak preview because there was a lot of times where our phones were glitchy and 3 out of 4 of us had it working and one person didn't. We had to restart the app or restart the mission, stuff like that. But it's a really fun way to get to go around the ship and look all around the ship and, motivate, because, maybe I wouldn't go to Vibe because I don't have older teenagers, but it's a fun way to go over there and check things out. And I think it's going to be a fun addition. There's definitely glitches that need to be worked out. My husband actually got to talk to one of the main developers of the game when he was playing with my son, because the developer was sitting there next to the quest, station, getting feedback from guests. How is it working for you? What problems are you having? What are you experiencing? So it's really interesting. They're definitely working on it, but I liked the game. It was really fun.
I do think it's been a work in progress in a way they weren't expecting it to be, which honestly, of course it is. The app on the ship is already something that a lot of people give feedback about needing, little improvements. And I feel like this is one of those things where we were disappointed it wasn't going to be on our cruises, but they've had Imagineers on every single sailing since it started trying to get it up and running, because the tech is just a lot more complicated, I think, than anybody ever guessed it would be.
I mean, it seems like all Disney tech could use a bit of a boost. All technology in general is glitchy. And at the same time, we understand we were the first cruise to do it, so we're happy to provide the feedback. But I think once they get it, smooth sailing, it's going to be great for families to do. I think it's going to be really fun.
Were you able to go to the end? Were you able to get to the conclusion of it?
Yes, I'm sorry, I forgot to say that. So it builds up. You can go to the main event at the end thing. You don't have to finish everything to get to the main event at the end, but there is a show at the end where the storyline wraps up. It's very cute. I won't spoil it for everyone. But yeah, it was fun. My kids really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I think they did a good job.
Well, it's cool that you guys get to experience that. But another thing you got to experience too was also the walking tour, aka Art of the Theme Show tour. And this wasn't really advertised, I think, in the first cruises, and you had to go up to guest services to sign up for it. But you found out something different this time, Liz.
Yeah, so when we get on, they had, you can scroll through onboard activities, and I saw the tour listed. They didn't call it Art of the Theme Tour. I want to say they called it The Making of the Disney Wish. I want to say that's what it was called. It might be something different, but it's basically the Art of the Theme Tour. And it's adults only. You can't bring your kids still, just like the Art of the Theme Tour. And we were able to book it through the app, and, no problem. We signed up for it. We did that on our C day. It was, I want to say, about maybe 40 people taking the tour. And it was a little bit different from Art of the Theme because it was one cast member and they had headphones with a receiver that you wore around your neck. So that way everyone could hear. So that way they're not, yelling to the people in the back, and they're able to accommodate more people. Everyone can hear everything okay. So yeah, we did that. It was a nice tour. I learned a lot.
So
Don't quiz me on what I learned because I don't remember all of it.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Do you remember one thing that kind of surprised you or that you were excited about to learn about the Wish?
One thing that surprised me, they said that there are over 3,000 pieces of artwork on the Disney Wish, which you all probably know because you've seen all the artwork that they have. And I'm sure that includes artwork that's hanging in the staterooms. But there's just so much artwork, and it's all so pretty. And I bought art. I bought a painting, or I bought a print of a painting.
What print did you buy?
The print is called "The Disney Wish Joins the Disney Cruise Line Fleet." Very unimaginative title, because that's exactly what it is. It is the Wish joining the other 4 ships off in the distance. I think it's supposed to be like sailing out of Papenburg, probably. It's really pretty. I liked it a lot. I saw the Cindy's painting that you all bought, and I was so tempted.
You'll just have to come over and see it in person. It's so pretty.
It is so pretty. I took a picture of it.
So in terms of entertainment, so the Art of the Theme Show tour is certainly entertainment. Fun fact, they call it the Art of the Theme Show tour, not just on the ships. There is an Art of the Theme Show tour at Grand Californian. If you stay at any of the 3 hotels as a guest, you're allowed to go to the Art of the Theme Show tour at Grand Cal. One time we showed up to the Art of the Theme Show at Grand Cal, and we're like sitting there waiting where they told us to wait. We had signed up for it, the whole thing. And the person was like out sick and didn't show up. So the guest services manager was like, oh my gosh, you two were the only ones who signed up. I'm so sorry. Can I take you on a tour of the presidential suite? Would that make up for this? And we were like, sure. So we went and got to see the really cool suites. But anyway, that sounds like some cool bit of entertainment that people haven't talked a ton about. The other entertainment, did you see the Pirate Night show?
We saw the Pirate Night show, and we saw Seize the Adventures, the other show that we saw, and the Halloween show. The Pirate Night show is so fun. My husband missed it because he had a tasting bourbon or something gross that I don't drink. I don't know. I didn't go to it. But I took the kids to the Pirate Night show, and I'm here rocking out to this 80s music and singing along, and they're looking at me like, how do you know these words, Mom? And I'm like, this is a really good show. I love these songs. It was fun. I hope they do that on all the other ships.
It's not like the same level of sleeper hit as Dino District, but I would say that it's a sleeper hit because it's like second. So much better. I truly could not care any more or any less rather about the pirate festivities on any of the ships. And then I went to this show and I like had a blast. I loved it.
I think the shows on the Wish in general are better than the other ships, because even the sail away on the other ships, it's like everyone dance, come on everyone, let's dance. And it's like, okay, but I don't want to dance, and that's all it is. But the sail away on the Wish is different, and it's just more of an entertaining show. I don't know if that makes sense.
You're right. The sail away on the Wish is like, hey, here's a sail away with the Fab Five. Just kidding. We have every Disney character ever. And then they all come out at the end and you're like, whoa, okay. I didn't expect you to be hiding Rapunzel back there. I agree. I think in general, the ship is designed for entertainment with entertainment in mind a lot better. Even Luna with the like permanent LED screen, it's like more useful than the other spaces. My critique about Luna is that the second floor is open air and literally anybody can hear anything happening in there. But you said you saw one main show, which would be Seize the Adventure. What did you think about that?
I thought it was really cute. I don't know. I could have lived without Goofy singing, what was it, Let It Go? Everything else was wonderful. I watch a lot of shows at home, like a lot of shows. So when I'm on the ship, I'm not super motivated to go to shows because I'm like, I want to do things that I don't do at home. We didn't get to see Aladdin. We didn't see Little Mermaid. And I mean, my husband and my son, they don't care. My Lily kind of cares. I heard such good reviews from so many people about Seize the Adventure that I really wanted to see that. But I thought it was a really, really sweet show. I asked the kids afterwards, did you like it? And they were like, yeah. And they, so everyone was happy with it. To be clear, I've never gone to a Disney show and not enjoyed it. I've seen every show that I have seen has been good, but
I would put it on par for Disneylanders who liked Mickey and the Magical Map. I think it's about as good as that show. And I loved Mickey and the Magical Map. So if you've seen that show, it's similarly vibed.
I worked at the little snack bar by that stage at Disneyland when Mickey and the Magical Map went on. So I've seen that show many times. It's a good show.
Well, I don't want to trigger you, but I love that show.
No. It's not a bad memory, but I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely remember that show. No, but it's a good show. Like if you see, well, I can't judge any of the other shows because I didn't watch them, but if you go to that show, you will not regret going to that show because it's very enjoyable.
I think what I like about that show is it kind of sets the cruise in motion for me, I guess, as far as shows go. Like, how like you just have like random show, I guess, on the first night, whatever it is, on some cruises. I think that show just in general, just the storyline and everything like that, just kind of like sets the cruise in motion. You kind of just go from there. And I'm trying to remember. I mean, I remember the show, but I'm trying to remember like something specific to back up what I'm saying. But that was kind of what I took away from it.
The cruise director starts the show like, Minnie, everybody take out your wand and make a wish, and Captain Minnie will be here to help you. And then it sort of starts the show that way. And isn't the theme like anybody can be a captain? Which I'm like, yes.
Follow your dreams.
You can do whatever it is you want to be.
Captain, but he has bad self-esteem, so everyone was building him up.
Yeah, they were hyping him, even his singing voice. They were like, get it, Goofy.
You know what? No judgment, as long as he's happy.
I'm like, truly the weirdest arrangement of like Merida and who is it? It's Merida, Elsa, and Tiana, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Or Moana. No, Meredith, Elsa, and Moana. Tiana comes later, I think, or earlier. But Meredith, Elsa, and Moana come out and do this trio song, and they're mashing up all of their songs together. And melodically, there's like part of you, your brain is like, this isn't working, what's going on? But the other part of you is like, yes, own it, it's so different.
And they have Hercules comes out.
Yeah. So I'm here for it. I am here for that show. And I personally enjoyed it more than Little Mermaid. And they never showed Aladdin on any of our 2 sailings, so I can't really compare that.
I have heard lots of good reviews of Aladdin, though. I know people weren't as excited about Aladdin being on the ship again, since it's already on the Dream, right? The Dream, right? But that's good to hear that the genie, I guess, has been knocking out of the park. Well, let's touch on just a couple more things from your sailing, Liz, before we finish up. How did your kids enjoy the kids clubs? You were talking about your daughter going to the Edge for the first time. How did she like the Edge?
She really liked the Edge. We made sure to take her the first night. I was hoping she'd, make her little buddy system and pal around the ship with, but she's really, really shy. But even though she didn't make fast friends with any of the other kids there, the counselors were amazing. So she kept on wanting to go back because she liked the counselors so much and she wanted to hang out with them. And eventually she did meet other kids and play with them. My son was very jealous of the huge wall of TVs with Switches and Xboxes and PlayStations because, he's 9. So he plays all that at home. And he's like, well, why don't I get this in the kids club? So there was one day when my husband and I don't know what we did. I think we went to the spa because we did do one spa thing. It happened to coincide with open house Edge time. So they went together to open house and they had the best time. But yeah, like every time after dinner, can I go to Edge? Can I go to Edge? I want to go for a little while. And since she was older, we were trying to give her the freedom. Edge is right by the elevators that our room was by. So I said, okay, just, come back when you're done. That worked out really well. My son probably liked Edge more than he liked the kids club, but he did really like the kids club. He did the thing where you design your own roller coaster, and he was really excited. There was one day when I asked my daughter to hang out with him in the kids club for a little bit so he wouldn't be by himself. And come on, Lily, come on, I want to show you the roller coaster thing. And he did the build your suit, your Marvel suit in the adventure. I got a good video of him doing that during open house hours. So even there was some days where he was maybe a little hesitant to go to kids club, but he would go and he'd spend a couple of hours there because he was having such a good time.
For the kids club space, it's just like a game changer down there. There's like so many different things to do. I would love to do that build your own roller coaster where you actually design it, then you actually get to sit in like a seat and watch it and everything like that. I think that's super cool.
Yeah.
And then, the short cruises are really hard for the kids, I think in the tweens and even in vibe too, to sometimes connect, because there's a lot of people traveling with groups together. And I think the longer cruises, especially the ones where our kids have had the most success meeting other people, has been on either the longer cruises over in Europe where there's not so many groups traveling together.
Yeah, it's understandable. And she's a pretty shy kid, making new friends. She's not going to be the kid that makes the first step to introduce herself or something like that. But she kept wanting to go back. They had the Halloween party that went from like 11 to midnight, and she wanted to go to that. So she was really excited about it.
Well, it sounds like you and your husband had some free time. You guys got to enjoy the spa. What did you guys do in the spa? And did you guys have some favorite spaces around the ship that you enjoyed? I mean, so many different places, from hyperspace to the Bayou Lounge and whatnot. What were some of the places that you guys enjoyed?
We did do the spa. The spa is so pretty. We don't get a lot of massages or anything like that at home. We're not real big spa people. My first spa was on a Disney ship, but it was on a trip that I took with my best friend. So I'm like, we have to do it. We have to do a couples massage. So we did a couples massage, and it was really, really, really nice. The spa area is really pretty, and we saw the gym and the changing rooms. And I told my husband, if you ever want to shower here or change here, it's always open. He didn't take advantage of that, but it was really nice. That's the adult areas. We did have a drink at the Cove Cafe. We did go to the adult area, but the day that we went, I believe it was Nassau Day, and it was crowded. And I think from what I've heard, the space is kind of limited there. And there were seats, but they were kind of in the sun. We just didn't want to do that. But inside the cafe, we sat down, we had one of those popsicle drinks, so good. So we enjoyed that. We also enjoyed hyperspace. We did that during the day with our kids. So my kids each got one of those drinks, and they did the smoke bubble effect from the little smoke bubble gun, and they were, dazzled by that. The one place that we wanted to go to that we didn't get to go to just because we ran out of time was the Rose. And I heard that that's such a pretty lounge, and we just didn't get to do it. I told my husband, I want to come here after dinner one day. We just didn't get to do it. I didn't find that we gravitated to one area as much, because we wanted to try everything. So we kept on trying to try new things. And I mean, it's a 4-day cruise. We didn't get to do anything. Like, surprisingly, we never went to the bayou. We went to Luna, we went to the pub area, and we went to the Triton Lounge. But there's so much that even in 4 days that we did not get to do.
The ship doesn't really lend itself to like, you can do all of this in one cruise, which, I guess is a good thing because people want to go again and do it, again. I think if I went on it for a third time, there are plenty of things I would not care to see at all. Like, I would just be like, I don't need to go back. But there are other places that I would have liked to spend a lot of time in that I didn't get to. So it balances out.
I guess we'd be remiss if we didn't touch on Castaway quick, since you guys didn't get off in Nassau. What are some of your favorite things to do in Castaway, Liz?
Castaway was great. My kids had never done the snorkeling. Well, no, that's a lie. My kids did snorkeling last October. We went to Cabo and we did a snorkeling excursion, which was fun, but I don't think they had the right vests for it. They had us use life vests. So it was really hard to snorkel. So this time I packed the appropriate snorkel stuff, and I was like, let's go snorkel. And they were like, we don't know if we want to snorkel. And I'm like, no, you're snorkeling. Let's go. I brought this stuff from California. You have to come. So I made them snorkel. It was, a little bit tiring because, like I said, my kids are not active, but it was so cool and they loved it. Finding all those little sunken things that Disney puts out there, like the Prince Eric statue and the Dumbo statue. At first they were like, Mom, why are you making me do this? And they're like, oh my gosh, what's that? Oh my, like, how cool. And so we got a lot of good pictures from that. We love Castaway. We had a little bit of time to play on the sand, but honestly, after the snorkeling, because you're out there for so long and then you have to swim all the way back, they were pretty bushed. We went and we ate. I had allergy-friendly food from Cookies, which was pretty good. And after that, they were just tired. So they said, okay, well, we can go back. So we did have a lot of fun. It was their first good snorkeling experience. So they said that they definitely want to do that again. It was a nice day. We had good weather. They had ice cream, of course.
That sounds like a pretty good day at Castaway. The funny thing about the like snorkel lagoon is I like it. My kiddo loved it. Seth hates it. Every time Seth gets like 200 yards offshore, he's like, help, I can't go further. And I'm like, I forget, I grew up in LA, so ocean swimming is like in my blood because my dad used to take us to swim in beaches with waves, but Seth is not that comfortable with it. And so I do think it's a great warning for everybody that like there are lifeguards all over the place. It's safe and whatever, but you kind of have to be a pretty good swimmer to get way out to all of those cool statues and things. It's like far out. So I don't blame you for getting back and being like, all right, let's get lunch, because that's like a long trip to get out there and see the stuff and then swim back.
Like I said, my kids are 9 and 11. I don't know if they would have been able to do it like 2 years ago. I don't know if they'd have been able to do it. Because, I mean, the sea obviously is calm because you're in the K or the key, so it's protected, so it's not wavy, but it's just so far. But it's definitely worth the swim if you can make it out there.
Well, like the first 200 yards is like seagrass with nothing. So it's really like going to get out to the sunken stuff is so far that a lot of kids don't have the patience, I find.
Yeah, and the way back we had to like tow our kids in for the last 100 yards or so. I'd be like, okay, Evan, just float, I'll pull you. And the same thing with my daughter, just float, we'll just pull you in. And I mean, we all had a good time.
Well, NASA Castaway, then you get a day at sea. I think that's like my perfect 4-day. I wish we could have done ours that way too, Chris. I think that's just like a perfect way to end it, where you get a nice relaxing sea day at the end. What haven't we talked about on this cruise, Chris?
I guess the only thing that we really haven't touched on is just how the Wish ranks within your Disney Cruise Line experience. You've been on quite a few sailings before, so how does this overall experience that you had rank within your Disney Cruise Line life?
I feel like I need to sail on her again, because this trip, so I go on the other ships and I feel spoiled and relaxed, but that's probably because I've been on the other ships before, so I don't feel like I need to do everything. Whereas this trip, I was like, there's no time for relaxing. We have to see everything. We have to, because it was the first time. So I got off the ship feeling not as relaxed as I feel on the other ship, but that's not the ship's fault. That's my fault, because I want to do everything. But I mean, in terms of do I like the ship and how does it compare? I definitely want to sail on the Wish again. I think it's beautiful. Yeah, the layout does take some getting used to. I did have some small pet peeves here and there, but I mean, it's a beautiful ship. You're going to have a great time. There's definitely a lot to experience. I want to sail again where I don't put as much pressure on myself that I have to see everything and I have to do everything. Because we're from the Best Coast. We don't go out to the East Coast that often. Yeah. Exactly. So like the Wonder, when next time I go on the Wonder, it'll be, yeah, no problem. I've done this, 4 times before. I know exactly what to do. So I'm chilling,
It's so funny because I find like objectively when people like sort of like can't believe that I like Disneyland better than Magic Kingdom, I think like on paper, it's like, yes, our castle is like 10 inches tall Lego set. And yes, like the whole park is cramped into a tiny Southern California footprint, but it's also my first park. And it's also, I know it like the back of my hand. Whereas at Disney World, I always feel disoriented and I'm like, what is this place why is this over here? And so I do feel like maybe some of the initial reaction to the Wish is just people being like, because like a lot of the people sailing on the Wish are people who've been on Disney Cruise Line before, right? And so a lot of people who have been a little bit mixed about it, I wonder if it's just that it's not comfortable yet. It doesn't feel familiar. It feels like a different enough thing that it can feel a little eerie to your like comfort senses. But I think you're right. Maybe give it more than one chance before you know.
I mean, I'm sure the next time, because you, like you said, you've already been on it twice. So that when you go on it again, you're going to know what you don't want to bother with, what you do want to do. So it's going to feel a lot more comfortable for you. The itineraries are so short. This isn't like a 7-day trip. It's a 3-day trip or a 4-day trip. So you're not going to be able to do everything. I love the ship. I want to go back. We'll see when I get to go back because, of course, you know, the whole flights and everything. It's just a lot easier for me to do the cruises out of the West Coast. Yeah, no, I would definitely go again. I want to see everything that I missed the first time and, you know, maybe get to relax a little bit more.
I love the Disney Wonder. So I'm so happy with it being in San Diego, though we're going on the Disney Wonder and we've been on it. So I do think it'd be nice for them to mix up where the cities, which ship's home port where, but
yes,
ultimately, I think you're right. The added cost is probably the number one reason not to go out of Port Canaveral if you have a ship on the West Coast near you.
yes.
I think that's a great take that you had too, Liz, as far as, you know, experiencing it again, because, you know, you want to do everything that first time. So I think that was really well said with those ideas and thoughts and stuff like that. So anything else that you wanted to touch on, Liz, that we haven't talked about?
We played a lot of bingo. We did not win on our sailing. Someone did win $10,000. Unfortunately, it was not us. So it is possible. No, we just had a great time. I'm looking forward to sailing on her again when I'm more comfortable. I listened to the episode about accessibility that you released a couple of weeks ago, and it was good to know because some of those areas, I was like, how are people in wheelchairs going to go up there? There was one time where I looked at the navigator and I said, oh, there's an observation deck on deck 6. Let's go to the observation deck. So we hit the elevator for deck 6. We walked all the way around deck 6, nothing, just rooms. So I said, okay, let's go down to deck 5. Walked all the way around deck 5. There's nothing, it's just staterooms. So we said, okay, so we went down to deck 4 where you can actually walk. Found out the hard way to get to the observation deck on deck 6. You have to start on deck 4
and walk up the stairs.
Walk up the stairs. So I'm like, how are people in wheelchairs supposed to figure this out? So I mean, you don't have to include this part if you don't want to, but it was one of those things where I'm like, they need to put that in the navigator that if you want to access this area, you have to start at this point. Minor pet peeve, but I mean, most of the ship, I was really worried going into it when people said it's, you know, it's really hard to navigate and you're going to get lost. It was okay. There were some parts, especially like in the adult areas where we'd turn here and, oh, there's a dead end, we have to turn around. But I mean, for the most part, I want to say 80 to 90% of the time it was fine.
I love new things. New things is my favorite thing. So if Disney wants to make something new, I will be there for it. And this is the new Disney Cruise Line thing. So I love it. And I loved my experience on it. But I do hope they take some thoughtful notes on the treasure and some thoughtful notes on whatever out of left field ship they're going to call the next one, the Dream 2. But like, I think, you know, to your point, those little quirks, I think a lot of people forget that the Dream had some quirks that they improved on layout wise, even for the Fantasy. So maybe we'll get some new things. And for the record, if you are wondering how do wheelchairs get to that observation deck, they do have a mechanism that like takes you up those stairs, believe it or not, like a lift that goes along the handrail. So it's possible, but it should be expressly described, I think is your point, Liz. And that's a really great point to make. So a couple of things here or there to think about from that lens.
The small amount of cons that I could think of were vastly outnumbered by the pros. I'm still thumbs up, 4 out of 4 stars. It's all good.
Yep. You tell me you're going to change a thing and I say, how fast? I can't wait. Because they always do something cool and new and exciting. Like, can't wait for Tiana to take over Splash Mountain. when they even did that
Mhm.
tiny little refurb on Snow White ride in Disneyland, it is so cool. It's like a sleeper hit dark ride now. And I'm like, yes, that's amazing. You're taking something and making it fun and new.
It's so much
So,
brighter now.
yeah, it's just one of those things where I can't wait to see what they do. I'm also secretly hoping they come up with 2 new storylines for the Aquamouse, because we know the Aquamouse is going to be on the next 2 ships, but it's like, okay, that's fine. But can there be new stories on those so that at least we're getting something kind of new and exciting?
Like a Christmas theme for the holidays,
Yeah.
and maybe not Christmas, maybe holidays, so that way it's inclusive, but and a Halloween theme, so that way, that would be really cool.
Why don't they have Boo just sort of like put her creepy little branches up into the tunnel and spray water at you?
Spray sap at us. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Like, come on, we're Imagineers. You should hire us.
I guess it was probably too wishful thinking that they would have that this year, but I bet you they do in the future. I bet you at some point they'll add something like that when they get around to being able to create that. So
I mean, it's easy enough. Just change the screens.
Agree.
Well, Liz, I'm glad you guys had just an amazing time on the Wish. I really appreciate all of your takes and insight on it. What's next for you guys? I'm sure you guys will be down at the Disneyland Resort, which you can hear the fireworks in the evenings. But what's next for you guys?
So next for us, I know in May for sure, I'm going on a cruise on the Wonder with my sister, who has never cruised ever before, but I've talked about it so much that she decided she wants to go on a trip for her birthday. I have a very tentative Virgin Voyage cruises booked for my anniversary also next year. And the big one is we have the 8-night Alaska next September, also on the Wonder. A lot of Wonder next year.
I think that when everything finalizes with our like adoption and things that we're working on as a family, Seth and I might take a Virgin Voyages trip, because I know kids aren't allowed, but it does seem pretty cool. Chrissy's on Virgin Voyages while we record this.
I know.
So we'll have to have her on to talk about it. But I do feel like, one fair critique of the Disney Wish is the adult only areas. So the allure of adult cruise sounds fun to me. So we'll have to hear if you do go on that. And of course we'll have you back on for the Wonder in May, because we have to hear your sister's point of view. Maybe we could do a double interview with you and your sister. You think she wants to be on the show?
She would love to. She could talk about vegan eating on the Disney Wonder, and I'll talk about allergy eating on the Disney Wonder. It'll be fun. That one's going to be the repositioning between San Diego and Vancouver.
I always wanted to do that because I want to
Let's
sail under the Golden Gate.
Let's go.
Oh my gosh, don't tempt me. It's like a bucket list to sail under the Golden Gate Bridge. I'm tempted. So I'll have to look at the dates.
The pressure, Chris.
I know.
Well, Liz, thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for your support of our show over the years, and I always love connecting with you and your family's travels and everything like that. So all the best to you as we head into the fall. The spooky season is about to culminate. We'll be into the holiday season right after that. But all the best to you and your family, and we look forward to having you when you get back off your next trip.
Thank you. And thank you for this community you've built. It's been great connecting with other DCL fans. I've loved it.
I love it too. And thank you for being a huge part of it. So all the best to you, and we will talk to you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that's going to wrap up our show today. Once again, I really want to thank Liz for coming on and sharing her and her family's experiences as they sailed for the first time on the Disney Wish in a Halloween on the high seas sailing. I know she and her family had just a magical time, and I know that you and your family will as well when you finally get on board the Disney Wish. We will be back in just a couple of days with another Halloween on the high seas sailing on board the Disney Wish as well, trying to get these in before that spooky day happens here October 31st. Well, if you've been enjoying this show and know others who would enjoy it as well, we sure would appreciate it if you'd pass it along. Also, if you have time to go over to iTunes and leave us a review, that helps us get a little bit better known in the Disney cruising, the Disney podcasting, just the cruising community in general. We also want to give a huge shout out to each and every one of our Patreon supporters. They help bring this show to you each week ad-free. If you'd like to find out more information on how to support our show, you can go to patreon.com/DCL podcast and find out all the information there. Well, between now and our next show, which will hopefully be out in a couple days,
If you're heading out on a Disney cruise, headed down to the parks, headed out on Adventures by Disney, or planning your runs for Run Disney Wine and Dine weekend is coming up, and Marathon weekend is just around the corner after the holidays. On behalf of myself, Steve, Christy, and Chris, all of us here at the DCL Podcast, we want to wish you to be well, enjoy time with family and friends, and we'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast.
The DCL Podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.